There's an urging to avoid or scrap the so-called CFMEU tax in Queensland. This was after a deal struck between the Queensland Government and the CFMEU for better conditions for workers. Joining me live is Queensland Major Contracts Association Chief Executive Andrew Chapman. Thanks for your time. Just explain then, because this was a deal that gave much better pay and also a whole raft of conditions. What's your specific issue if you had to pick maybe elements of this that are making this the least workable?
Thanks, Tom. The BPIC, or Best Practice Industrial Conditions, is an element within the best practice principles that the state government introduced back in 2017-18. It evolved into the BPIC, and the main issue that we have with BPIC is the loss of productivity that is coming out of it. There are significant wage increases which are well and truly over and above what are industry standard. Now, obviously, the industry is very hot at the moment, so wages are in that supply and demand issue. However, the BPIC then throws another 20 to 30% on a number of wage levels, but the drop in productivity that comes from the conditions within BPIC are the major concern for the construction industry, because it means we are delivering less for more money over a longer period of time.
The wages bit you highlight, though, has that been not the impact perhaps some thought it would be? Because as you say, the industry is tight, wages are growing anyway, that bit was warned about that would be crippling for the industry actually hasn't turned out all that badly?
It certainly is affecting the industry. We're seeing it wrapping across the whole industry, whether that be housing, whether that be transport, water, energy, and even into what will be the Olympics and Paralympics build. The wages are certainly going across. So, for instance, in the housing sector at the moment, it's now costing more to do land development. It's now costing councils more to up their rates or their wages to counter the BPIC rates that are in other projects, so they can keep staff, and that is then coming forward to the person who has to go and buy land in a land development. And then when they want to come and build, the builders are having to put up their rates to be able to counter what is happening in the other sectors of health and other building. So it's this triple whammy in the housing sector when we've got a housing crisis. Equally, it's in the water sector, it's in the transport sector, it's in the energy sector, which means the taxpayers are paying more and getting less.
Are there elements that are perhaps working better than you thought? I know there's double pay if it's raining, if it's emergency work. I guess that means, when it's hard to find someone, it's raining, not much fun to work out in the rain, you can still find someone. There's an RDO off every 10 days. Now, the government and unions say this avoids fatigue. We do see deaths in this industry more than others. Is that an important factor?
Look, the best practice principles lay out a whole heap of things that the government wants to work with industry on, and we're happy to work with them around that. And that is safety, it's around greater local business engagement, greater Indigenous employment, greater diversity within the industry, and we're happy to work with government around that. The problem is the BPIC is a set of very prescriptive industrial conditions that are forced on industry and told you have to adopt these. And they drive up the cost of projects, increase the time that it takes to deliver, and that productivity is a massive issue. We've already dropped 8 to 10% this year, over the last year, in productivity on our construction sites, and BPIC is forcing that further south.
Now, the other thing that caught my eye, because I thought, gee, nice being at a tradie maybe, 17.5% leave loading. Is that what I think it is? So you're on holiday and you get nearly 20% extra pay? Is that unusual in the industry?
Yes, that is one element within. Certainly the construction industry has always had a leave loading on it, but there is, in BPIC, these leave loadings and other loadings are certainly elevated, that's for sure.